We're nearly there. We're nearly at 1,000. I don't know what this means. It's just a psychological number. But yeah, if you can like and subscribe, or even put the notification bell on, that'd help us a lot. Feed the algo. Feed the algo. Right, we're back. Welcome back, everyone. Gents, how are we? I'll get off this infinite screen 2 seconds.
Good.
There we go.
Good morning.
GM, good local time.
Good morning to everyone. It's nice to be back.
Good morning. Good morning.
We've had an interesting weekend, and obviously it's Tuesday morning. Grant is sitting on the other side of the planet, and it's evening, isn't it? But we had an interesting weekend. Obviously, predictably, markets looked quite solid, and then on Sunday, starting getting a little bit rough. And yesterday was pretty dismal, and everyone reminded us that we weren't, in fact, following a merge. We were following the S&P 500 on ETH, which was very heartbreaking, of course, because I really need a crypto narrative right now. Would be really nice.
Yeah, who was it who pointed that out? Just completely.
It was Ryan. It was Cantering Clark. He posted it. Well, I saw it on his. I'm sure there were others, but Ryan for me is one of the truth tellers in the space. You can see the guy's not, in my opinion, the guy's not trading because it's kind of like a necessity for him. It's like he's trading because he knows what he's doing and he knows he's going to make money. Sure, he has his losses like everyone does, but he's got a great read on the market, and he was the one who pointed it out and then did the comparative overlay between the S&P 500 and ETH. It might be worth going to his profile and actually taking a look at it. It really is a disturbing chart to look at.
Yeah, it is. Is it? Where the fuck is it? I loved.
Keep going.
Yeah, let's have a look.
He posts so much, dude. The guy's a psycho poster. I mean, there it is.
I just love the actual tweet in and of itself, though. You weren't playing any ETH merge. You were telling yourself a comfortable story while you longed the S&P. What a dickhead! It's excellent, though, isn't it? It's so true, because I don't know how many times we spoke about it. We're totally at the whims of it, and it's people are just beginning to realize.
Check my post below that.
That's hilarious.
I mean, come on, guys. I mean, surely there's got to be some kind of decorrelation at some point in time. It just would be so nice, even if it was a down only for a while. It would be really nice. Anyways.
I mean, I took off quite a bit, to be honest, but I just wasn't happy with some of my L2 entries and just had to kind of suck it up and like have a look at myself in the mirror and just think, yeah, those entries are shit. Let's just cut them and just leave what was doing well. I think I'm going to have a look at this, see if I can get an entry at this kind of horizontal, which is, again, just seems to be very obvious. So I think probably a lot of other people will see that as very obvious as well. I don't know if we'll get there. We'll probably end up ripping as soon as this stream ends. But I don't know. That's what I'm eyeing up. I'll definitely be bidding again. It's just I'm away this weekend as well and don't want to be like frustrated around looking at shitcoins and ETH whilst trying to enjoy myself. But have you guys got exposure or?
I got big old bag of ETH.
I've got spot ETH and I've got a long open on ETH. I did take some a while ago, but my entry was good on it, so I'm not too phased at the moment. But it doesn't look very positive. But then we've also got to just be mindful of the fact that we've had a lot of green days. It's been really positive from that perspective. And as soon as we see 1 or 2 red days, it's very easy to kind of like go back in our shells and get all freaked out about it. And I think the reality is we don't really know what's going to happen next. I mean, if we did, then we probably wouldn't be sitting on stream, and we'd be buying that villa that I posted the other day. So I mean, it's the thing is that it's important to kind of keep that in mind, because it's very easy to get sucked into, oh, it's another red day, especially when this chart is a perfect example where you've had 11 weeks of red, and it's like you see red again and you think, okay, we're going to have another 11. You might not think it, but unconsciously you are experiencing that. And the market's been great. It's been great for, I think, a lot of people. I think it's been quite daunting for others. And we just need to be mindful that, like you said, Grant, that could just go completely the opposite way, from red to green in an hour. We just don't know what's going to happen next. And we can draw the lines we want. There are obviously pressure points, but I don't know. It just seems really like it can go either way at the moment. And I mean, TradeFi says that we can go either way. A lot of those analysts out there are saying that it really is. What, we had 4,300 on the S&P 500 almost. Have we passed it?
S&P. See, when it's like this though,
I think we're still sitting at about 4,200.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
it's at 43.
coming into like,
look, it's about to hit 43.
Nice.
I mean, I quite like it when it's like this because, one, we're kind of in the middle of easy and hard mode at the minute, aren't we? So it's like easy mode was like 6 months ago for the previous 18 months before that. So that was complete easy mode. Literally open CoinGecko, double finger scroll, and just close your eyes and hit like the first project you land on, and you're going to get decent returns on your money. So that's easy mode. Everyone comes into the market, everyone starts telling all the friends, everyone starts coming in, buying the top, goes to shit. The last 6 months has been completely hard mode, and I think a few of us took some off. We could have took it off a little bit early, but we just kind of sat in our hands and started trying to push the BlockMeds platform as opposed to trying to trade and get chopped up. So now it's like the last 6 weeks of green have been a little bit in between, a little bit. There's still some laggards. If you were trying to buy into projects that you thought were fundamentally sound, and they haven't moved, that'll have been extremely painful. While like there's been some shit that's completely ripped. I mean, I'll get onto it in a minute, but there's been stuff that's ripped 10x, 15x from the bottom. So if you're just holding your favorite positions because you've become a community member, which is like the big no-no, then it might have been painful. So we're kind of in that like intermediate range of easy and hard, and I think it's just about the hard modes just about to get turned up a notch at the minute. We'll have to see. But that's the thing, isn't it? You just play what you see and don't be a complete larp and turn into Mystic Mergan, start predicting the future. Stop being an idiot and just kind of play what you see, as opposed to price targets and all this kind of horoscopes for men, horoscopes for traders kind of mentality.
But isn't that just a really interesting kind of dissection of what's happening in the market at the moment? I mean, it's not just from a perspective of it's hard mode versus easy mode, but just it's once again it's the low tide analogy, and the low tide analogy is very much applicable to the guys out there that are larping. And it's, if guys are posting price predictions and coming up with all these, theories around the whole thing, just put that on your list or put those names on the list of possible bullshitters who are just looking out for, some kind of attention, because, the guys who are actually posting, post an event, who are observing and then posting and commenting as to what happened, are actually more worthwhile to follow than the guys who are trying to predict, in my opinion. Like, what is the rationale around, what ETH is doing at the moment? Well, it looks like it's following the trend that the S&P 500 is. Just based on the data, I can make a conclusive, like a fairly conclusive, like, argument that that's what's going on. Okay, cool. Moving on. As opposed to, I believe that ETH is going to go to $3,500, and that's a dangerous territory to go in, especially if you've got 100,000 followers, and especially if those 100,000 followers are really looking for an excuse to go long, large, and on 100x leverage. That's dangerous territory, and you need to be very aware that that's going on right now, because there's a lot of FOMO. There's a lot of FOMO that's going on right now. I've experienced it, and I've had to hold back. I've had to have that moment by looking at myself in the mirror and say, just chill out, dude. You don't need to get involved here, because you know how it's going to end. And not only doing it once, but having to do it many times, because this is, like you say, it's an up. Grant, I somewhat disagree with you. I think this might be more hard mode than easy mode. I don't think we're quite in between yet. I think it's still pretty hard. Obviously not as hard as it was 6 to 8 months ago. But you can get it wrong so horribly. I mean, let's not talk wrong. Let's talk right. I mean, several weeks ago, you made a bold call around XMON, and the thing has just absolutely made you look like a trading god, bro. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, not
That's
bad.
insane.
Not bad. This is what we say. Like, we released a thread around the newsletter, not to keep going back to the newsletter, but everyone should subscribe, because
No, let's go back to the newsletter, because we want everyone to subscribe to it.
But it's like, right, there's two ways you can do this, and you can go and be a complete LARP about all your perfect life and how great of a trader you are, and then start charging people like $3,000 a year or $3,000 a month for your shitty newsletter that adds actually no value apart from into the pockets of the people that are even into the pockets of the people that aren't even writing it, because they're probably just getting some writer from somewhere off Fiverr to write a shitty newsletter and fulfill a hole. But anyway, the difference being is, if you're going to create consistent content like that actually adds value, you need to be kind of, one, immersed in the markets, which we do all day, every day, and just trade and pick up on new narratives and try shit out and lose money along the way. So we can kind of pass on that information. And that, I think that in and of itself adds value. It's not as if it's going to be like a newsletter that's specifically for projects that we like. There's a load of good shit in there. But if we do see something that we're really beginning to pique our interests, like, well, we probably should share this, and that can be our value add for subscribers to the newsletter. And whilst it's still relatively small, which I don't expect it to stay small for too long, there's two ways to think about it. If everyone has the newsletter and everyone has the information, then it's not exactly alpha. It's the same as Nansen. If Nansen was like $100 and everyone had it, it was like, well, there'd be no edge in the market. But whilst people are still kind of figuring out if they want to subscribe and stuff like that, they can kind of get insight to this. I think, what was it, Dan, around 14,000 when we first posted it? There's been a few more that have went 2 or 3x, not to kind of be one of those retrospective LARPs around projects that have went and done well, but that's what we're trying to do. It's not exactly going to be a calls channel, but in a newsletter, there's a lot of interesting shit, and that's in there. But yeah, that's what we're trying to do with it. And probably the first 50 people in the newsletter will have picked this up, and for free. It's not a bad investment. Just to put your email address in and get like a 4x on your money. Not financial advice, by the way. What do you think? Did anyone get some of this? Because everything is pointing at it just wanting to continue. It just doesn't. It's complete disregard for the market is a joy to watch.
So share with us why it's done what it's done, and what is the narrative around it. What are the fundamentals around why XMON is doing what it's doing?
So, I mean, I posted a small thread on it earlier. So effectively, there's a new kind of meta or a new piece of infrastructure that's come out from the XMON camp. So XMON was an NFT project, but on the back end, they've created this product, which is Sudoswap. So Sudoswap, in effect, so say if you go to Opensea and you can buy and sell NFTs that are on the market, and then you can kind of lowball people and hope they accept your offer. So with Sudoswap, effectively what it does is takes NFTs and allows people to add NFTs to buy, NFTs to sell, or you can add NFTs and ETH as liquidity. So you effectively create a liquidity pool for your NFTs. So you have a whole host of pools for specific projects. So let's say I bought let me just show you on the website anyway. Let's say I bought some pseudo Eno, which I did a couple of days ago, and it's begun to rip. These are all the NFTs that are listed. So there's 101 ETH in, 102 ETH in TVL. The best offer is 0.43 ETH, and the floor price is 0.44. So effectively, what this person who's put the best offer in is saying, I'll buy X amount of these NFTs, but at this price. And then you get this thing called pools, which is basically a liquidity pool. So what you can see is people adding NFTs and liquidity. So this top account here came along and said, I've got 16 of these NFTs and I've got 21 ETH that I want to put into the pool. And the current price that he wants to start selling his NFTs is 0.52. His delta is way too high. He's not going to get that sold. That's 20% delta is effectively how much the NFT price should change each time someone buys it, and then a swap fee of 25%. So he's kind of, this guy's hoping that someone comes in and buys, and then you can effectively see if he sells all his NFTs, he'll have made 45 ETH. So effectively, what it's doing, like not to confuse and go too technical on it, it's effectively turning NFTs into altcoins, if you think of it that way. So there's projects that are listing on Sudoswap and nowhere else, and they're kind of, I don't really agree with this part of it, but I think it's good for volume, good for my bags, but they're kind of blacklisting Opensea and they're blacklisting Lux and stuff like that. So using like Sudo Let's as an example, they can effectively not use any mint function and just deploy liquidity in ETH and their NFT collection to Sudoswap, and then people can come in as soon as it's listed and start buying the NFTs. And obviously, if people buy the NFTs, then the price of the floor price of the NFT goes up. So just think of it as like a shitcoin chart. Whereas as soon as it's listed, more people are coming to buy them, drives the price up. So it's effectively tokenizing NFTs without fractionalizing them, and the volume that's coming in is kind of nuts. So like on the 1st of August, it was Sudoswap's volume in comparison, like volume dominance to Opensea was 0.7%, so 99.3% dominance to Opensea, and now I think it was as high as 20% at one point today, but it's at around 15%. So that's gradually increasing. Like if you want to do like a kind of mid-curve comparison to market caps to valuations between the two, if it's it's Sudoswap, and by proxy XMON is at 112 million, and the recent Opensea valuation was 13 billion, but the Sudoswap daily volume is now closing in on 20% dominance of Opensea. It's like if XMON was to 10x from there at 1.2 billion or something, it's still 10x smaller than the valuation of Opensea. So I don't know. That's a kind of idiot way to look at it, but you know, like every metric's just open to the right, and people are speculating on the XMON token because effectively you're going to be able to cash it in for the Sudoswap token. They've got some strange collaboration which I don't really know too much about because it's a bit hush hush going on with Uniswap, and Uniswap don't really push into experimental markets too much, so they must be seeing something that the rest of the market isn't seeing just yet. So I mean, liquidity is really high for it as well. 15 million, 121 million market cap. That's
huge.
Yeah, that's the whole thesis.
So do you know what the Sudoswap token will do?
Ideally, it's got some kind of rev share, but I don't know, because a lot of on Sudoswap, it's a 0.5% fee to the to the protocol, to the platform, whereas OpenSea is 2.5%, so it's immediately like a 5x reduction. But anyone listing liquidity can then set their own fee as well, so it's more beneficial for users to actually list their tokens, their NFTs and ETH as liquidity over there, as opposed to listing on OpenSea and giving like lion share, which has completely no revenue share back to OpenSea. So that's the kind of idea behind it. But yeah, it's completely ripping, and volume's only going to increase. You're going to start seeing like shitcoin projects over there. You're already seeing that. You're seeing a lot of exclusive mints happening over there. And as soon as like the NFT artist maxis realize that it's a better platform than OpenSea, then that's probably when you'll see terminal velocity start hitting.
So you're saying right now that we're nowhere near terminal velocity based on your rationale, and that 48,000 is in fact still a decent price. Bearing in mind that you do have the option to pump your bags right now, but I don't think you're going to do that because it seems like you've delivered a compelling argument to suggest that, I think the previous all-time high on this thing was at 80 grand. I mean, if you zoom in or zoom out rather, yeah.
Yeah, it ticks at 87, which before it had any volume or utility.
Have you seen the buys on this thing, Dan? If you look at the order book on this thing, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just like 50 granders, 20 granders, 30 granders, 100 granders. It's just there's some big boys getting involved here.
Let me just switch to I was going to show you the export treasury, but we deployed XMON and ETH as liquidity, and the returns have been really, really good from that. Obviously, when you're getting these ridiculous large volumes coming in and out because liquidity is relatively high, plus like a little additional boosted incentive in XMON, the returns for the ETH XMON pair have been like really, really good. And it's, if you think about it as well, I'm pretty sure some other people have already said this, but if you're paired to ETH whilst ETH's performing well, and you've got a really terrible habit of not taking profit, if XMON continues to rip, all that means is people are coming to your pool on Uniswap, or the pool on Uniswap, should I say. And what they're doing is taking XMON from the pool and depositing ETH. So as XMON rips and outperforms ETH, you're getting left with ETH that's also performing well, and you're also effectively using it as a way to scale out as you kind of move, as the token moves up. So you can hold like with the treasury, we've got just a spot XMON position probably accounts for like 2.75, and then we've kind of got an XMON ETH position that accounts for 25% of our XMON exposure. But as XMON continues to move up, that our LP gets more heavily weighted in ETH. So it's just a way for us to continuously take profits automatically using the LP whilst getting paid quite handsomely to do so as well. So that's kind of a good strategy that we've been using. Probably shouldn't tell everyone that, but there you go.
That's huge.
It's huge. I mean, it's like, how many people are going to buy that green candle? You know what I mean? It's like, and then they're going to look at it when it's at 80 grand. They're going to like, why didn't I buy it at 48? And it's.
You could add like XMON ETH liquidity there if you're scared of it going too high up, and then if it actually does pull back, then your LP is going to be more heavily weighted in XMON, and then you can remove the LP, buy more XMON at a discount, but your LP is going to have automatically bought the dip on it with your ETH anyway, and then you've been earning fees whilst doing so. So that could be a good strategy if people are worried about buying after it ripped however much in 24 hours. Hope that made sense.
It did make sense. I mean, the mechanics of it you need to go and obviously fiddle with. It's not something that I've done, but it looks like you have to go and obviously spend time in the platform itself, and then assign liquidity accordingly, and then obviously do your numbers, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think I was getting around 1% every 3 days, maybe every 4 days.
That's really good. Wow.
That's huge.
Just for the record, Expo is the only thing that I didn't sell because I was told not to. I'm a community member.
Yeah, we've got some tricks up our sleeve coming. Just let everyone chase after ETH whilst we're doing something.
Cool.
Should we have a look at another token that we find extremely undervalued? We obviously can't go too much into detail about what we've just found over the past half an hour, but
let's do it.
All right, where's my fucking cursor? There it is. Bitcoin looks like dog shit, by the way, just before we flick through. Right, so where the fuck is it? I really need to sort my watch list out. It's terrible. Right, so Hero Chart looks like dog shit, but I'd kind of encourage people to keep an eye out for the next article that we're about to release. Should be by Thursday if I can not get distracted flipping shitcoin NFTs on Sudoswap. But all I'll say is keep an eye out for. It's an article that's going to go into what the token price will look like and what the returns through staking will look like, based on projected volumes. And I've sat for a couple of hours today and pulled together a calculator and a spreadsheet around it. And I had to check in with Gunny, the founder, and I was like, do these numbers look like what you guys have on your end? And he was like, yep. And I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be saving up for a villa, but I'm gonna have to go and buy some. Fuck's sake.
I think what's really important at this juncture, I mean, kind of a little bit of a disclaimer, is that, you know, it comes back down to, I mean, we obviously have, you know, Hero is a sponsor of ours, and, you know, we're effectively like, you know, we're supposed to say positive things about, you know, this ecosystem, this network, and, you know, this product that these guys have got out there. And, you know, there's obviously, it's our obligation, or rather our responsibility, to inform you guys that that's what we're doing. You know, we're obviously supposed to speak positively about this. But man, it is so easy to speak positively about what's coming. You know, like, you guys love GMX. I know there's a lot of you out there that really rate GMX. A lot of you have made a lot of money on GMX. Imagine GMX at day zero. If you look at this chart, this is GMX effectively at day zero. And I believe that the potential of this thing can completely and utterly knock GMX out the park. Yes, I said it. I said it here. And I'm gonna have another I told you so moment. And I'm telling you right now that Hero has the potential to really compete, if not outdo GMX. So don't fade this, guys. You know, like, this is really like, I do want to have my I told you so moment. Damn it, I do. And I'm letting you know now that that's what's going to happen. And we have the proof. We've been looking at the numbers. And we're talking about real yield stuff. This is something that's going to be spoken about in the space a lot. We've brought it up before. A lot of the guys aren't talking about it. But the guys who are switched on to what's happening in the space, like Grant said, you know, we wired in the space. We know what's going on for the most part. Obviously, you can't get it all, and you do miss stuff. But the real yield thing is the next narrative that's going to be knocking, and it's a narrative that's going to be around for a really long time, just simply because it's sustainable yield that's generated through fees of a protocol that has people using it and are spending money on it. And this is one of them. So you can either get involved early or have me tell you I told you so, because I'm going to love doing that.
Yeah, and it's important to push out like, we're not here to kind of just shill this. Well, I am, because I've recently just bought a shitload, but
Hey, so is that blue little green candle? Is that yours then?
That's his.
Can we confirm that massive dildo is yours? I bought a shitload, and that's fucking tanking. Sorry, excuse my French there, but it's absolutely tanking.
It's going to be one of these things where I'm really right, or I'm going to be really wrong. So, but yeah, it is important to point out, like, we have to kind of fully disclose that, yeah, we do have positions in this. They are a sponsor. They are our good friends in the industry. But again, we've got an awful lot of other good friends in the industry that have projects and protocols that are complete dog shit, so we don't talk about them. It's important to point out as well.
True story.
But
We still love you guys.
I guess to give it some more context, I think one thing you should definitely point out is when you spoke to Gunny on a podcast, he was chatting about his conversation that he had with old Sam from FTX, and you can probably tell the story better than I, because I was just a listener. You're the ones actually they're interviewing. But Jedi, what did he say?
Well, I mean, I think they were obviously trying to raise money for this thing, right? And Gunny had, I think it was a 20-minute chat with Sam about what it is that they wanted to do with Hero. And it's like the scenario that was painted in my mind was kind of like, a discussion between two guys, and a matchbox comes out and a couple of numbers get scribbled on the matchbox. And it's kind of like, oh, I like that idea. You know what? I'm going to freaking invest a whole lot of money in this thing. But hold on a second, I can't invest quite that much, because then I'm going to land up owning too much of it. So I'll give you, enough, and, you can go and get the rest from somewhere else, so that I don't look like, Mr. Moneybags trying to take over your thing. But I like the idea. So there we go. 20 minutes later, Gunny had secured the funding that he needed in order to get this thing going. So, when someone like Sam is kind of like, climbing the mountain and putting his flag down in the ground, you got to kind of wonder what's going on here,
Well, wasn't that the whole? Well, there's kind of a few things that, again, just contribute to the kind of idea and the thesis around it. Is one, when Anatoly set out to build Solana, he wanted to just have this execution and settlement layer, and he initially thought that's maybe what Solana just would be primarily, and then like the NFT crowd came and they were like, yeah, this is going to be much larger than what we first anticipated. And then two, in one of the kind of primary or secondary meetings with Sam and FTX and things like that, it's Sam's whole vision was around having a complete order book exchange on chain, which is kind of the idea behind Serum. And then there's like some kind of story anecdote about FTX trying to break like a testnet Solana and trying to fire through 100,000 transactions on it. But I think it kind of all ties really, really well together. It was like Anatoly was like wanting to build this on-chain order book. Sam's wanting to build it. And now it looks like Hero is going to be like this derivatives primitive on Solana that's all singing, all dancing. Not just perps, options, power mutuals, exotics, anything you can kind of think of that needs a settlement layer in derivatives, it's going to be there. And it just kind of feels like a natural progression for everything to kind of converge towards that. I don't know. I might be kind of over talking the book, but if they get it right, and that's what it turns into, it's like we'll be kicking ourselves for not buying more. So again, going to be really right or really wrong on this one. So,
but surely, Grant, there's the whole, like, who do you choose to fade? Because you've got to fade someone along the way, right? And if you turn around and you have the negative sentiment around Solana for the rest of your existence, aren't you effectively fading that entire vision? You've got, so you've got this guy who has completely and utterly, he's the winner. He's hands down the winner. I mean, some would argue that maybe CZ from Binance is more of a winner. I don't know about that. I think Sam has participated in far more and has been far more prevalent in the market and set himself up in so many different ways that I think he is the winner, in my opinion. but that's another discussion. The point is that if you're saying that Solana isn't something that has a place in this world, you're effectively saying that the guy who's come up with this whole idea, or who's bankrolled this whole idea, is wrong. So he's going to be wrong, right? So he's wrong, even though he's been right about everything else, and he's probably invested more in this than any of the others. I don't know about that. I just don't see him being wrong.
What's Solana looking like? I mean, I think any L1 at the minute is probably it has been outperformed by ETH. Like there's no two ways about it.
ETH's at 120% from the lows, right?
Yeah. Let's calculate that. That'd be actually hilarious if it wasn't. Yeah. It's nowhere near. What is the Sol ETH chart looking like?
I would imagine ETH is whipping it yet.
Yeah. So it's because there's so many nice shiny things on the market, particularly on relief bounces. Like you could kind of say what we've had is you don't want to be sat in stuff that's not moving. Like the opportunity cost to steal something back from the market is just kind of flash before your eyes if you haven't tried to play like the narrative game. It's like a fastest horse wins when it's a relief bounce. If it's a continuation and different narratives can emerge and things like that, that's fine when everything's up only. But you've had a allotted amount of time to actually go and steal some back from the market, so you can't just be sat in stuff that isn't moving. Like when I started picking some up. I don't know. As soon as the relief started, maybe in like the first couple of days of the relief bounce, and I probably sat on it for even a little bit too long, maybe like 5 to 10 days, a week, or a little bit longer. But then I was just like, what the fuck am I actually doing? It's like I cannot just hold this thing because I think it's going to do well long term. Everything else around me is moving a lot quicker. And if I actually rotated into the stuff, which I eventually did, then that's done really well. Took some off the table now, and then again, Sol's sat around this similar sort of price point. I'm just going to pick up some more Sol if I wanted to. It's like the relief bounces are for fastest horses, and fundamentals will probably get you killed if you try and make too much sense around it.
Another psychological aspect to this, like the psychology of it is, and obviously I speak from experience, because unfortunately I've not perfected the art of being a LARP and getting it right all the time, every day, all day, is that you have this notion, or I don't know what it is, but it's like from a psychological perspective, you try and convince yourself that, maybe it's different now. Maybe this isn't a relief bounce. Maybe we are going to continue going up because there's the ETH merge and, the markets look good. And then you start convincing yourself, and I'm pretty sure that's what's happened with you, is like, if you take the moment and look at yourself in the mirror, it's like you say, why am I being a fucking idiot? Why am I actually looking at this thing any different to what it actually really is? And what it really is that it's a relief bounce. It's short-lived. I need to be a ninja. I need to actually get in early. I need to get out fast. I need to take my profits, and then I need to sit back and I need to have a single malt at the end of the day because I made some money, as opposed to, oh my God, why didn't I sell when I was, 40, 50, 30, 20% up, when I knew that was the right moment to get out. And when it's the right moment to get out, because you've done this enough times, because you've seen this freaking television show before, but you think it's going to be different, and it isn't. So if you thought it was anything else but a relief bounce, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It was.
If we brought up
so now, do you think this is like a mini? So let's say that's the relief bounce. Do you feel like this is going to be a mini relief taking scenario, and then we're just going to bounce back up? Because the signs were always clear. If you look at the ETH on a daily, the signs were always super clear that it's going to pull back, because you could see it topped out on the RSI coming straight down to a line where it's about to flip. So the signals were always there, and if 2K is a psychological level, it always makes sense that it's going to pull back here.
Yeah, I think it makes complete sense
Yeah.
for it to pull back here. Everything, like, we're at the top of the range with regards to like the wedge. We're at coming into key psychological resistance, key weekly resistance. Everything just pointed to kind of it needs a little bit of time to cool off. It's not exactly going to be over. I think there's going to be people are going to start panicking because that's what people do. They can't face any red days in the market, and they get themselves into a twist. But I'd be bidding at my stupid horizontal line here, try and pick some up, or even I'd like to see it bounce at the line. But if we have to go back to 17, then I'll have a nibble there as well.
Yeah, like I said this morning, I think 1790 or the psychological level of 18. So if you zoom back into your chart, you can kind of like roughly see where it might. We go. Yeah, you can kind of see there on those like candles there. And even if you just scroll to left a little bit, you can potentially see where that's going to be on the left. Keep going. Yeah, there you go. You can see where we broke that your little your red line at 1700. You can see where it almost like peaked up to the 18. So that's where you could potentially, if you're using like horizontal rather than like diagonals, could see it potentially bouncing there. But I don't know. Let's see what happens the next few days. The American futures are down, so I would say a little bit more red for us. And then if we can get some like green futures tomorrow, that'd be awesome.
I've got pre-market data as well. See if that says anything. Yeah, down, but not a lot.
Not huge.
Did you see Michael Burry sold everything today?
Did he really?
Yeah. I think someone.
That's obviously
Michael Burry just sold it.
He literally sold everything. Wow.
Yeah, but with that, did he sell everything apart from? No, he bought Geo, invest in private prisons and mental health facilities.
Probably nothing. Oh my goodness! Just this. We were doing so well with the stream, and now this.
Right. So just to put into context for anyone who can't see the screen and might be listening on Spotify or whatever, Michael Burry's assessment management sheet, it says he sold absolutely everything, all in a wanna. So he's just offloaded absolutely everything, and then he's bought
everything.
3.3 million in GEO, which the inverse Kramer has quite rightly pointed out that GEO invests in private prisons, mental health facilities, probably nothing. So Burry's rather like we're all going to absolute hell and the world's going to collapse. And there's going to be so many people that need to go to prison and need to go into mental health facilities because of the collapse. So he's betting against society on this one. Don't mind it, to be fair. Good trade.
It probably is. Wow.
What the hell?
What a statement.
That is literally going all in on an absolute hunt.
I mean, he sold Google, Apple. He sold everything. Tesla, everything.
That's so funny.
Meta, everything has been sold.
It's that buy as well, though. That's what makes it so funny. If he'd just sold everything, that's one thing. But then when he goes and spends like, I can imagine it's not exactly a large amount for those guys, but 3.3 million on
I think it's a statement.
Private prisons and mental health facilities is so fucking funny.
It's a complete statement.
That's insane.
Anything else from anyone?
No, I think we covered a lot of it.
I think we're good. I think we're good. I think it's quite a focused stream today. But really impressed with what XMON's done, and thanks Grant for giving us insight into the rationale, the narrative, and where it's going. It's gonna be interesting to obviously just check in again in a couple of days or next week as to what this thing is doing. And yeah, interesting stuff. It really is.
Truly is. So we'll be recording an episode with Umami tonight, I think. I need to check my calendar. I'm completely useless at this thing. So we'll get that out as soon as possible. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of others this week as well, but if not, we'll be back Friday with a market roundup. So thanks again, and please just, we're nearly there. We're nearly at 1,000. I don't know what this means. It's just a psychological number, but yeah, if you can like and subscribe, or even put the notification bell on, that help us a lot. Feed the algo. But yeah, thanks again.
Grant, are you going to put up a thread for questions to ask Umami, or are we just going to free roll it?
I don't really like planning stuff, so
okay. All good.
Clearly,
I don't either. Clearly, I don't either, because I asked the question on stream.
No, I don't like things that are too scripted. Like, just one final point, actually. The Kwon interview with that coinist thing.
Yes.
One, that is 100% paid for by Kwon, and to make him look good. I'd like to see an unscripted interview with someone. And two, it just feels a bit, I don't know, overproduction is just like such a soul killer, I think. You hear, like, in music, in film, and in anything that's overproduced to shit, it's just like, ugh.
So
did you see the way basically delivered chair? And like how smug he was looking. That was like that's like I've just created absolute chaos, and then there's one of them back up to you. That's what he's done. That's exactly what he's done.
He doesn't give a fuck, does he? He couldn't care less.
Grant, so you've basically concluded, because I haven't watched it, but you've concluded that it's all a load of bullshit and it's a song and a dance with a couple of violins thrown in. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because like when you release a YouTube channel, even if you have past experience in being a news anchor, there's absolutely no way on planet Earth that your first interview is with Kwon following this. There's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
Doesn't add up to me. He says he was affected by Luna himself, but it's something smells fishy.
Yeah, of course he was. He made bank, man. Absolute bankroll.
Yeah.
So why is that dude not in jail? Considering the tornado devs get put in jail and he's not in jail. How is that possible?
Don't even get me started on that stuff. It's like,
yeah, it is bullshit. It is pathetic.
It's a lot of shit.
Yeah. On that note, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen, to sit with you and talk shop, and look forward to the next one. I am going to go to gym now and continue with the regime.
And to keep pumping it up.
Yes, Dan,
right.
Whatever you say.